feels good to be alive. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Yeah, times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you, the door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today, learn the part and join the play. The world is here, let's take it for a ride.
It's broken, Ray.
What are you doing? It's running.
Not working.
It's running.
It's not working.
It's running. You're on. You're live. Go.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Welcome, Katie's Night 2020. Here we are. It's virtual. Usually they're live. Usually we have 400 people, but tonight we got people watching from all over the world. So 2020 has been a bunch of lemons, but we're making lemonade, or its cousin, Jack and Coke. Same thing. My name is Dave Johnson. I'm the executive director of the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund. I'm a zookeeper. I've been out here in Denver, Colorado since 1998. So, Serena, do the math. How many years? Math, Serena. That's 22 years I've been here in Denver working with pachyderms and celebrating our big gray guys. I got an elephant necklace on, rhino logo, and hippo socks, thanks to Deb and John. So I'm ready for the town, but unfortunately there is no town tonight, so we're stuck at home. But the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund, we started back in 2014 in Katie's honor after she passed away from cancer, and it has ignited our community to conservation. And now we're all over the world: Nepal, Tanzania, Ecuador, Costa Rica. It's been so much fun. And tonight is going to be no different. We're going to have a blast. I want to welcome Pat Falk. He's going to talk to you guys tonight about him and Heather Stanley's new idea, bringing forth some stuff with the kids. So I'm going to let Pat take it away. You guys enjoy, and cheers to Katie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pat Falk, and I'm the Education Director for the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund. I'm incredibly excited and grateful to be a part of this amazing organization, and I can assure you that I'm going to work tirelessly to help create educational initiatives in support of all of KACF's conservation efforts across the world. Currently, I reside in Chicago, Illinois. I've been here for a little over 10 years. I work as an academic advisor at a university in Chicago, but previously I taught high school science for over 6 years. So I have over 10 years of education experience. And ever since I was a kid, I'd always been interested in wildlife conservation and learning about animals. Going to zoos was one of my favorite things to do as a kid, and I loved watching nature documentaries. So my love for wildlife conservation and just learning about animals was always there from the very beginning. But it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I really started to think more about, do I want to make this part of my future and my career? And fortunately, I was able to go to Africa twice in the past few years. And then recently, in February and March, I was able to go with Dave and the KACF to Nepal. And these experiences were incredible and really helped to solidify that, I want to take my career in the direction of, merging my love for education with my passion for wildlife conservation. And so I couldn't be more excited to have met Dave and to now be affiliated with the KACF in this conservation education lens. So one of the things that I'm really excited about in this role is creating educational programming geared toward kids. It's so important to share our message and our vision with children, and specifically help inspire them to become, heroes for conservation. You might be wondering, for example, why I'm wearing this attire. And the answer is you're actually looking at the creation of Safari Pat, a character who's going to have a very important role in our KACF educational outreach to children. So soon we'll be launching on the KACF website a specific focus on conservation toward children. So that will be coming in the next few months, and we're really looking forward to that And Safari Pat will definitely be at the forefront of that initiative. One thing specifically that Safari Pat's going to be focusing on is, getting kids to care about conservation and helping uncover the conservation heroes in our everyday life. And I think for children, one of the greatest things that can help inspire them is to see their peers, doing amazing things in conservation. So Safari Pat's goal is one of the Safari Pat's goals is to help put a spotlight on those conservation heroes and supporting them and giving them praise for all of the great work that they're doing to help protect wildlife and save endangered species. Speaking of conservation heroes, I wanted to take this next moment to recognize a very, very special young lady who has done remarkable work in the past year for conservation. She is a 7-year-old, and her name is Harper. Harper truly epitomizes what it means to be a conservation hero. I have no doubt that she is going to continue to develop her conservation passion and to work tirelessly to help support conservation. Specifically, she is working to help support rhino conservation. And when she found out rhinos were endangered, she knew she had to do something about it. And so she created last year in 2019 a campaign called Bracelets for Rhinos. And it's been just so much fun for the KACF to be involved in this and to see her passion for helping to save rhinos. So what she does is she creates these beautiful bracelets, which I have one right here. And all of the sales for these bracelets go directly toward rhino conservation. To this day, Harper has raised over $2,000 to support rhino conservation, which is just incredible. So thank you so much, Harper. The KACF is so grateful for all of your work, and we're really excited about our continued partnership with you moving forward. And finally, I just wanted to reiterate again how excited I am to be in this capacity with KACF, and really, really looking forward to getting started with some educational initiatives moving forward. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Wow, thank you, Pat. That was great. Love your safari outfit. Really looking forward to seeing what you and the Heathers and Chuck come up with for our Kids Corner. And many thanks to Harper and all of her bracelets. We've gotten those guys over to all our different countries, Nepal, Tanzania. I want to talk about Nepal now. Our next video coming up is going to highlight all the work we've done since we started in 2010. We're building a vet hospital. We're working with elephants, rhino orphans. We've got so much positive stuff going on there, and it's our longest running venue of partnership. So Bill Majeur went with us and did an awesome job creating this documentary, and I hope you enjoy. My name is Dave Johnson. I am a zookeeper in Denver, Colorado, but I'm also the founder and executive director of the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund. Katie was a zoo explorer that I worked with for years. So that's people that really want to explore their career paths in the animal world. Zookeeping, wildlife biology, vet technology, veterinary medicine. So it's 14 to 21, gives you 7 great years of experience in the animal community. She was a Western Air. She fell off her horse and they found that she had a Ewing sarcoma. They found a tumor. She fought that off, joined CSU, was getting her wildlife biology degree, and it kept coming back. And so we lost Katie when she was 23 years old. When she passed, I wanted her legacy to live on. Me and my partner Ray, we went to the Adamsons, to John and Colleen. We wanted to do something special in Katie's honor.
Tears. The fact that he wanted to associate his dream with Kate's memory, I found that very, very humbling. I think they were on the same level. that both had this eagerness to go in the same direction. Dave is definitely an elephant man, and Kate had no fear of them. And to her, it was an animal that needed saving.
He was what she wanted to be. She wanted to have that, to grow into that passion, to be able to help the animal kingdom. She wanted to become Dave in that passion. She wanted to be a zookeeper.
So 2014, we created this conservation fund in her name. It's probably been the most impactful thing that's ever happened to me. It has been life-changing. We're in Nepal. This is the country and the people and the species that we started the fund about. For Asian elephants, for greater one-horn rhinos. Everything started right here. We started Team Nepalorado, a fusion of the cultures in the name of conservation. These people, they're from every walk of life. They are regular people that some way have come in contact with our group, and they have become soldiers, and they want to go out and they want to help. They don't want to just go on safari. That's really special for me, to have people that care that much.
I love animals. I love getting to see everything here. But I am much more interested in the interpersonal kind of human aspect of conservation, because that's how we get conservation work done, is through the human connection
Rhino.
and the human approach.
Gave them some Katie Adamson Conservation Fund bracelets.
It's not quite a vacation, but I think the only way to experience this really is to put yourself out there, you know, in places that are a little less comfortable than what we're used to.
This is just something I've dreamed of, getting to come with Dave, see these animals out in the wild and see what he is doing out here to change the world, to try and save these animals.
This is our 11th visit to Nepal.
And to work with the people here and see what he's doing with them.
The person-to-person contact is just wonderful, the things that we can do for the people and country.
We got a greater one-horn rhino, Rhinoceros unicornus. This is a unicorn of Nepal. They're an endangered species. They had only about 2,700 greater one-horn rhinos left when we started here over a decade ago. Now there's 3,500.
Oh, I think it's fantastic to get so close without having a fence or a barrier between us.
Poaching, habitat destruction, growing up in an environment surrounded by people. Rhino horn, worth more than gold, worth more than cocaine. In the black market, or for health reasons. People think it cures everything from cancer to gout to hangovers. But actually it's just matted hair, it's keratin. The tigers are being poached for their hide. They're being killed because of human-wildlife conflict. Elephants for their ivory. They're being killed because they break into people's houses and they hurt people. The future of this area depends on these animals being still here. The Nepalese people are amazing. They have created so many new national parks. You know, they have over a quarter of their land locked in to preserves and parks and wildlands to save their wildlife. They're Hindu and Buddhist, and they understand that part of their soul, part of that connectivity needs to go on. And so they want to pass that heritage on to their kids, which is pretty special. And so they're constantly struggling to make sure that the animals and the environment and the forest all have a place.
I love wildlife. If there was no nature, there couldn't be any wildlife. If there is no wildlife, there cannot be the life of the human being as well.
I just think of Katie and how much she would have enjoyed being here and seeing an animal in the wild. That's what she loved, and hopefully we will bring this to other people so they can see her passion.
This baby rhino was abandoned by its mom in a swamp. It was only about a week old. So now this little girl has to be raised up like a little orphan rhino. Ideally, she will grow up here and get healthy and be returned to the wild. She'll have a little brother to kind of grow up with.
His mother was dead in the wild. We found that it is unable to survive in the wild, so we rescued it and bring back here to do a rehabilitation.
Seeing that they went out and they gave these rhinos a second chance at life is the most amazing thing.
You see the vet hospital coming out of the ground. We've donated $60,000 to build this.
We'll be able to equip them and able to run a full-fledged hospital. Some of the drugs are not available in our country. Collecting all of these drugs from US, that is helping us to do the treatment of the elephant, calves, especially the elephant endothelial herpes virus. That is one of the important disease of the captive elephant. With the drugs he sent, we are able to save 3 calves. That is a very big deal.
These are the samples.
This is going to allow the vets and the vet techs and the wildlife biologists to have a central area to bring animals for healing, and it's also a source of pride for their community. It's about developing partnerships, see what people need, see what the wildlife needs, how we can be the liaison between these two, and I think that's what our niche has been with the KACF. Selling rhino honey conservation with a sweet cause. This is what we purchased for them since the last time. The Chipang community, they got moved out of the national park. They were really used to being like hunter-gatherers. They're one of the more poverty-stricken sects of the Nepalese. Look at that. What we were asked to do is to partner with them because some of their community had been rhino poachers. Their own filter, Rajdev. That's just pretty awesome. We took their rhino poaching and turned it into rhino conservation.
It was very good. They are very willing to work with the animals and change their lives to save the animals. You see that.
Beehives. Let's help with this elephant conflict issue. Let's have beehives. You guys have honey, you have wax, and now you have little watchdogs to protect grandma and chase elephants away from her doorstep. So I'd love to have a soccer tournament here and do an art competition and soccer every year with our Chipang family. The art for animals is something for the kids. Maybe we're gonna create a new conservationist. Maybe we're gonna create a new person that's like, wow, I'm good at this.
Congratulations.
It gives them direction. They feel part of a bigger connection. They don't feel so isolated and separated here. Wanting to get these kids to appreciate their wildlife. Give us a chance. We won't go kill rhinos. We'll do your honey, we'll do this fence, we'll do anything that you want to do. Give us a chance to connect and give us a chance to be better. Beautiful work. They've got all this wildlife right in their backyard, and it's so special to see them light up and want to have that connectivity. I work with elephants and rhinos and hippos every day. Getting the next generation engaged is what I want to do. So you have some amazing wildlife in this country where you guys call home. When I write these kids' books and I go to these schools and I talk to these individuals, I want to instill this empowerment. So we like to do as much with the people as we do with the animals. I want these kids to know that they have a voice. This little one in the front, her name is Narayani. If you give them that passion and that connection, they are going to make the right decisions and ensure that we have a better world for all the animals that we share this planet with.
Everything the fund does, I can see it through Kate's eyes.
She'd get a kick out of it. She really would. If she had survived, this is what she would be doing with Dave, I'm sure.
And you can't just let a spirit like that just pass away. everything has spread out in this ripple effect. Now we do stuff in Tanzania, Costa Rica, Alaska for polar bears.
This is money that is coming in and going right
Right
out.
out.
It's not sitting in a bucket somewhere. It's donated, designated, and
Gone.
sent out there, and it's gone.
I brought reading glasses for the villagers.
This is something that is embraceable. It's something that's reachable, and it's blue collar, and it's on the ground kind of stuff that people can really believe in. It's just infused with energy and love. It's like a revival. It's also stuff that really impacts a community at large.
I guess I didn't understand until we got here why it mattered.
Thank you.
Meeting all the local people, seeing the orphanages, working with just the local village kids, that has warmed my heart the most, and making those connections, I think, guarantees that the conservation work will be continued for generations to come.
Thank you so much for Katie Adamson Conservation Fund. We are happy and we love to let us. Thank you so much.
As a zookeeper, you want to do more with your career. Our animals are going through a tough time on this planet, and I think zookeepers have a voice.
That has been the most inspiring part for me, is seeing the native people of Nepal that I didn't really know were here doing all this incredible work, and we are here to support them. And I know there's people all over the world that are doing the same thing.
We do wish it to grow and grow and grow, because the more money we bring in, the more people we can help, the more animals we can help.
Katie never made it here. She wanted desperately to come, but she never got well enough. The cancer just ravaged her. And that next year after she passed, we brought her pictures. And we took pictures of Katie all around Nepal.
Proud and
Grateful.
grateful,
I think
because
those
we see Katie everywhere.
It's a fun movement, you know? I can only wish for more time to energize and excite and bring some happiness to the world.
Tiger tracks, our first ones.
I hope that people join me for a little bit of this and be part of the journey. Before we move on, guys, you have to learn about Zulu Nyala, our partners in South Africa. They've offered us this sweet safari deal, $2,500 for 2 people, 6 nights, accommodations, meals, 2 game drives a day. It's going to be awesome. We were supposed to be there this summer checking it out, but please get on kacf.eco, check it out, purchase them, and go to South Africa and go on safari. It helps everybody out. Okay, that was really great. Made me a little misty. Thanks, Bill, for all your work in Nepal with us. So happy to take you there. And we've got a lot of footage and gonna really use all of your work to move forward with the KACF in the next years. As you can tell by my outfit, we're moving on. This global march is now gonna take us to Africa. So we had a women's group go there in 2019. And Robert Sturgis did a wonderful documentary about their trip, and all girl power, led by Courtney Gonzalez. So you'll get to hear her narration. Hello, Courtney, and everybody down in Houston, all the aquarium keepers. And then we're going to talk about this year's women's trip with Shelly and Casey, and show you some pictures of them working with the beehives and Lamek Makubara with the Tanzania Elephant Foundation. And many thanks to Lamek for my Maasai Shuka. So as we move on into Africa, hope you guys enjoy, learn a little bit more about what we're doing with the beehive fences and all the stuff that our empowered women are doing all around the world. Thanks, guys.
Environmental conservation is everything.
Tanzania. Home to world-famous national parks like the Serengeti, Tarangire, and Lake Victoria, the second largest lake in the world. Here you can witness the incredible wildebeest migration, meet unbelievable herds of elephants, and come face to face with a pride of lions on the hunt. This magnificent wildlife faces a huge threat due to poaching and human conflict. In order to keep these incredible species from disappearing, we have to protect them. Who can help save these magnificent animals? Who can teach the new generation about the value of wildlife? In September 2019, a group from the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund went from Colorado to Tanzania. Their mission? To support the women changing the face of conservation. They traveled all over Tanzania, meeting with students, villagers, and wildlife. They wanted to learn how to gain support for women and their communities to save species. While wildlife conservation has long been a male-dominated field in Tanzania, the efforts of women like Judith Flora Wanda are inspiring women to find their voices and get more involved.
At a young age of 4, I lost my dad, and at the age of 11, I lost my mom, and I had to go back to the village where I was raised by my grandparents, and we didn't have capability of even having shoes to go to school. I studied in a very difficult environment, and when I was growing up, I saw girls like me run away, and their only solution was to get married, probably hoping that they will have good life, but they never ended up having a better life, and the only thing I saw was education. My greatest desire was to come back and really motivate women.
Judith's tough upbringing inspires her work today at St. Augustine University. Judith volunteered to help out with the Dance for Conservation competition in Lamadi, a village just outside of the Serengeti National Park.
They're actually performing and they're educating us young girls to appreciate animals. They're actually thinking about our future.
The groups competed over 4 days. They encouraged the women from the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund to join in the traditional dancing. District Commissioner Tano Muera of the Busega district in Tanzania joined in the celebration on the last day. For Judith, the dance is invaluable because it will inspire women and their children to get involved.
Whatever activities that they're doing, they can actually transform those activities into songs. And these songs will be motivating to keep attracting more and more support. If we're able to see those moves like tapping of the feet, them saying, no, it's actually going to be in us as we grow, and we are able to pass it down to the generation.
The group met with 15-year-old Janet. Many people her age are forced to drop out of school due to the high cost. However, Janet will be able to continue her education thanks to a scholarship provided by a local NGO. Judith translated Janet's inspiring message.
I would like to encourage other young girls like me to believe in themselves, to know that they are the voices and that when they say something, it will be heard. and that they have a bigger contribution towards motivating and educating people.
Janet seeks to become a leader in conservation.
I would like, when I grow up, that I'm able to educate people about poaching and be able to motivate them to stop these poaching activities, because they need to know why poaching is harmful to the community.
Janet dreams of becoming a lawyer. She hopes to create laws to protect wildlife and support the rangers that protect the animals from poachers and maintain Tanzania's many national parks. Though traditionally a predominantly male field, more and more women have become rangers in recent years. They hope to motivate the community.
We build that spirit in them so that they can love and like the environment.
Education in Tanzania is paramount for those who hope to make a difference. The female students at the College of Wildlife in Mweka are studying to lead the charge for conservation. These women are full of hope about their roles in changing the future of their society. They are working hard to overcome the challenges of this field. The students introduced themselves and toured the group around their campus. Maria Marato is working on her thesis on wildlife tourism.
And I would like to make a difference and a change within the environment one way or another. I would love to bring awareness, as one small person can have a huge impact to a lot of people.
Judith and the group went to see the community's elephant beehive fences, similar to those donated by the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund and Natural Habitat Adventures. These fences provide honey and a sustainable income to the people, protect crops from the elephants, and in turn, protect elephants from people. They have already made a huge impact in Tanzania.
The word investment to them, it's not practical. So for them to see the word investment, they need someone to work with them. So if you're giving them bees today, they need someone to work with them to teach them how do you keep the bees? How do you integrate bee farming with other activities? You are not going to be stuck there looking at these bees for 5 years. But with this bee farming, what else can you open up? What else can come up so that as time goes, yes, you're dancing, but your bees are also growing on one side, but also you're learning how do you package this particular honey that is coming out to be able to put it on the shelf. Because this is the knowledge that they don't have. But this is the knowledge that they need to know and they require to know, because apart from doing this particular project, they might also have their own ideas. So I think it's high time to also listen to them. What would they want to do and be able to give them the support? Because what they want to do is something that they're interested in it and they have a passion in it, so they will be better.
The group also met with Lucy Fitzjohn, who, along with her husband Tony, runs a sanctuary for the critically endangered black rhinos. The sanctuary also has a number of African wild dogs. Long seen as nuisances, the wild dogs were hunted to near extinction. Now Lucy, Tony, and others hope that the species can make a comeback. The wild dogs are bred at the sanctuary and then released back into the wild. Unfortunately, these animals are nomadic and can be difficult to track. Many of these packs are wiped out by villagers and members of the Maasai tribes in neighboring Kenya. Glory Williams, Senior Conservation Officer of the Ecology Department of TANAPA, is working hard to study and save this species. The tracking collars you can see on the alpha will provide invaluable information about the pack's movement and where we are seeing conflict. It will help to provide critical information needed to create projects aimed at teaching people about the importance of these species, mitigating conflict between these predators and the local people.
So it's good to actually establish young projects, especially youth projects, because right now it's the generation that we depend on. And the young generation will be there to replace it now. Those programs can help them and at least enlighten them on what is going on.
Judith also hopes for more collaboration.
But they still need a lot of support because they need to grow. They need that baby step support. They need to be encouraged. And I would like to invite people from US to actually come and study the people's culture here.
The efforts of Judith, Maria, and other conservationists need your help. In order to ensure the survival of wildlife for future generations to come, please support conservation projects like this at www.katieadamsonconservationfund.org.
Hi, I'm Shelley Pfeiffer.
I'm Casey Bamby.
And we just returned about a month ago from Tanzania and spent about 3 weeks in a beautiful country. And we just wanted to tell you a little bit about our experience on behalf of Katie Adamson Conservation Fund. Asante.
Asante.
Ready? Yeah. So if I do something bad here, everything's shaking all the way over there. Beehive fencing is in Asia and Africa in 19 countries at 74 different sites to mitigate human-elephant conflict. Farmers plant their crops close to protected areas and parks, which are sometimes along the elephants' migratory paths. The elephants will either eat and or destroy the crops. Other mitigation efforts have been tried, but none have consistently worked. This is where the beehive fencing is more effective. African honeybees are extremely aggressive, and elephants are afraid of being stung in their trunks, eyes, mouth, and in the soft skin behind their ears. The beehive projects done by Lamek Mukaburo is when they build a fence about a mile long, about 20 meters from the farmland, and this benefits the entire community rather than just surrounding one farm. The fences consist of 50 hives and are alternated with 50 two-dimensional dummy hives to reduce the cost. All the hives are connected with a top wire, so if the elephants tried to pass between them, it would disrupt the hives on either side. They have been proven to be about 80% effective. The hives also offer an additional income in the form of honey and beeswax sales. Lamek has also created an investment group tied to the fences called the Village Savings and Loan Association, or the VSLA. This is run by the local community leaders and allows about 30 farmers. Once a member, they can buy shares at $1 per share up to $3 per week. The members can also take out loans at very low interest for other business ventures. There's also a social fund associated with the VSLA at 50 cents each. This offers a type of insurance in case someone's crops are damaged by elephants. They will be reimbursed for the damages. The proceeds from the honey and beeswax sales are also put into the fund. This all encourages community involvement and helps ensure sustainability for the fences for the long term. We visited 4 different villages involved in this project. Kasemo, their fence was already constructed and now has 3 occupied hives. Elephants have tried to get through and failed and then changed their routes. Tinga Tinga had reached out to Lamek to redo their fences and that had fallen apart due to poor construction from another group. And that rebuilding will begin the beginning of October. Mugude and Kasaki is where our group actually hung and set up beehive fencing alongside with local villagers. Mugude now has 5 occupied hives, and elephants have visited these locations, bypassed the farmlands, and changed their routes altogether. Kasaki has run into some problems though. They have 0 occupancy, partly due to some livestock keepers have destroyed 2 hives and 4 metal poles. They have been caught and will be taken to court this week. Our trip was amazing and our group was wonderful. If anybody is interested in donating or helping, please contact KCF and keep an eye out for future trips to Tanzania. Feel free to contact myself or Casey if you have any questions. Thank you. Asante.
I recently had the opportunity to travel to Tanzania to see how the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund's initiatives are helping the Mokomazi National Park conservation efforts. We were met at the park by the chiefs who explained to us their major conservation efforts. The first is the wild dog sanctuary, where they are breeding and releasing the dogs back into the park. Their population has decreased due to the farmers killing them in retaliation for them attacking their livestock. The KACF donated camera traps for the rangers to track the dogs and record their movements. The second effort is the black rhino sanctuary, where they are breeding them with the ultimate goal of releasing them back to their natural habitat. As we all know, the black rhino population is extremely endangered, so this effort is extremely important. The Mokomazi National Park Commissioner believes it is imperative to educate the young local communities on how important these animals are to their ecosystem and economy. I've seen firsthand how your donations to the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund truly makes a difference in helping save these animals' lives and to help the local communities. Thank you for your support to the KACF.
Okay, that was great. Love seeing all the stuff from Africa, the videos, all the wildlife, and all the partnerships that we've got going on there since 2016. Now it's a special part of the night when we give out our Katie Award. The Katie is even more prestigious than the Oscar because it actually means something. It's about conservation, and we've given this out every year, and just want to show you and introduce you to the winner of this year's Katie Award. So congratulations, Courtney. You're very deserved of this award. You really embody everything that the KACF is trying to accomplish. So thank you for all of your hard work and effort and engagement. It's been an honor to work with you these last few years. And for the first time, the Adamsons wanted something special to go with the Katie, and this is it. So makes it even sweeter, the sweet prize that you're given down there in Houston. So thanks a lot, Courtney. Now it's time, guys, to focus on one of our new partnerships, and this is going to be in Borneo. Should have been there in April, but we're looking at going there next year to partner with Ape Malaysia and Mazrul. We're going to do some reforestation work with sun bears and orangutans, and really start working in a different part of the world for a whole different collection of species and a new community. Thanks, Mazrul, and all of your wonderful people that we're going to hopefully be seeing next spring.
Hi, my name is Mazrul and I'm Project Director for Ape Malaysia. Ape Malaysia is a certified social enterprise based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. At Ape Malaysia, we run wildlife welfare project and conservation project to benefit the environment, wildlife and the community. All the project is mostly funded by paying volunteers who join the project throughout the year. The volunteers come from all over the world and from various backgrounds. We also work with students from school and university who join the project to learn about the issues surrounding conservation effort. We are also supported by few organizations, local and international, to keep our projects going. Currently, for our wildlife welfare project, we are working together with the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Center based in Sandakan. On this project, the focus is on the enrichment work for the bears, helping the centers keeping their bears active and healthy. To talk about our tree planting project, I will let my colleague Mark to share it with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark and I'm the field manager for Ape Malaysia's tree planting project. Our tree planting project is based in the Kinabatangan River, a river that stretches 560 kilometers long in the northeastern part of Sabah. And this river is now a wildlife sanctuary, very important for the protection of a lot of different wildlife species. So our project has been planting trees in this area since the year 2010. We've been planting more than 30,000 trees on the ground, and our main aim is to be able to reconnect and recreate back important forest corridors to allow a lot of the endangered wildlife species in Borneo to be able to cross through. So we are looking at animal species such as the Bornean elephants, the Bornean orangutan and also proboscis monkeys. Our main aim of our project is to reconnect back important forest corridors for the movement of a lot of different wildlife species in the Kinabatangan River. At the moment, we have 3 local communities from the village that is working full-time with us as our reforestation team. And through our tree planting project as well, we are able to get a lot of local communities to start creating tree nurseries. And from these tree nurseries, we will be purchasing them and we will be planting the trees that they have planted on the ground for the connection of the wildlife corridor. And through our reforestation project as well, we will be able to engage local homestay houses to provide meals for our volunteers and also encourage community-based tourism to start up in this area. We are very thankful for the support that has been given to us by the Katie Adamson Conservation Fund, and we hope to one day be able to get them to our tree planting project here in Borneo. They will be able to help us in reconnecting back the forest corridors for the wildlife here, and will be able to contribute a lot towards the protection, the preservation and the conservation of this very important landscape.
Thanks a bunch, Mazrul. That was great. Really look forward to having Chuck plant a bunch of trees with you next year as I watch and drink lemonade. Now it's the time everybody's been waiting for. We're going to get our keynote speaker here talking to you about wolves. This is Rick McIntyre. I've had the privilege of meeting him 3 times up in Yellowstone. He's written some wonderful books that you guys have been purchasing the last few weeks. And he was part of the translocation that has been so dynamic for the ecosystem up there in Yellowstone. We're working with Yellowstone Forever now, doing some wolf conservation education in Rick's name. It's going to be pretty exciting. And I will let Rick take it away and bring it on home tonight. So enjoy our wolf talk.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rick McIntyre, and I feel real privileged to be asked to speak at Katie's night. I am very appreciative of all the work that the organization has done for people and wildlife around the world. So welcome to this virtual event. Many of you know that I've been working in Yellowstone National Park since 1994, working with the wolves. And I've written 2 books about my experience with wolves here. First, The Rise of Wolf 8, and then secondly, this just a couple of weeks ago, the second book, The Reign of Wolf 21, came out. So I'll be doing a talk this evening about both of those main characters, Wolf 8 and Wolf 21. Now, Yellowstone used to have a population of wild wolves, but they were all killed off by the 1920s by the early rangers during the period in American history where everyone, especially the government, seemed to be against wolves and just wanted to exterminate them. But the Park Service, as a federal agency, eventually realized what a big mistake that had been. And so in 1995, they arranged to return wolves to Yellowstone to have a reintroduction. 14 were captured in Alberta, 3 different packs, and were brought down for that first phase of the reintroduction. Now, back then I was working here in the spring, summer, and fall, so I wasn't here for the arrival of the wolves, but I was here just after they had been released. And the pack that I studied that summer in 1995, one of the original 3 packs, was known as the Crystal Creek Pack. It was the alpha pair and their 4 sons, who by the time they were released were about a year old. And none of us expected that those wolves would ever be very visible to wolves, or certainly to the public, but they were, and we began to see them all the time. And that enabled me to study the individual members of the family. And for me, the wolf that really stood out was number 8. He was one of the 4 sons. And he stood out in several ways, one of which was that he was picked on and bullied a lot by his bigger brothers. They were all the same age, but he was the runt of the litter. Also, he had a dull-looking gray coat, while his three brothers all were jet black, very glossy coats. And if anything, he looked more like a coyote than a wolf. So he had a hard time growing up. But after the family was released, things got a lot better for them because they all, including his brothers, had just more things to do when they had been in captivity. So things began to look better for number 8. He was becoming more on his own, more of his own wolf. Now, simultaneously to the story of his family, another family of wolves in Yellowstone was going through a huge ordeal. That was the Rose Creek Pack. And their alpha male and their alpha female, they unfortunately went just outside the east entrance of the park to den. On the very day that the mother wolf, number 9, had 8 pups, the father wolf was illegally shot and killed. Now, they caught the guy, he was convicted, he spent time in prison, but the real story is not him. It's what happened to the mother wolf. So she was a single mother because of his death, with 8 newborn pups and very, very low chances of enabling those pups to survive. So normally the Park Service does not intervene in wildlife situations that are natural, but this was not natural. This was an illegal killing. So the park rangers and the wolf biologists, they rescued the family. They caught her, all 8 pups, and they put them back in an acclimation pen in Lamar Valley, the acclimation pen where the mother wolf and her mate first arrived from Canada. And the hope was they would spend 6 months in there. They would be fed while they were there with roadkill, deer and elk, and then they would be released in the fall, and hopefully that would at least give those pups a chance to survive. Not a great chance, but at least a possibility. So we'll jump ahead 6 months to what happened as they were being released, and that brings wolf number 8 back into the story. He was spending a lot of his time alone by that period of the year, and maybe that was partly to stay away from his much bigger and stronger brothers. And he apparently had been hearing that wolf family howl from up in that canyon. We think he was curious and he walked up there to see what was going on. And what probably happened was he came around a turn in the creek, looked ahead in a meadow, and saw something that he'd never seen before in his life. And that was wolves that were smaller than he was. Some of the pups had already been released from the pen. As far as we know at that time, 8 had literally never seen a wolf that was smaller than he was. He was always the very smallest in his world. And the way in which he reacted to that situation really said it all about his personality and character. He ran ahead and befriended those pups. He shared some food, he played with them. The mother wolf was watching him from a distance. She was desperate for help. He wasn't the most ideal candidate to be the new alpha male in her family. He was very young, he was very experienced, he was below average in size, but he was there and he was treating her pups kindly. So number 9 went over and met number 8, and essentially by the end of the day, he was in that pack as the new alpha male and as the adopted father of those 8 pups. And one of those pups that he adopted and raised was to become our most famous wolf, number 21. So 21 never knew his biological father. For the first 6 months of his life, he literally had no adult male in his life. So number 8 was the very first adult male that he ever knew. So during the next 2 years of 21's life, he was raised by 8, was essentially apprenticed and trained by 8, and knew everything that he needed to know about being a father wolf, an alpha male, by that apprenticeship with number 8. And probably maybe the most important influence that 8 had on 21 was a day that happened about 6 months after 8 joined the pack. By that time, The family was based in the Slough Creek area. Number 9 was pregnant once again, this time with pups that had been sired by number 8. She was getting ready to give birth. 8 had gone out on a hunt with those what were now yearlings that he was training, the ones that he had adopted 6 months earlier. They chased some elk, they made a kill, they fed, they were getting ready to bring food back to the mother wolf and the young pups. And then I noticed that 8 suddenly stopped, and he stared up on a ridge to the west. In fact, he was glaring up there. I was with a bunch of people at the time, some park visitors, and I told them, well, I think 8 has probably seen some more elk, and he's thinking about having another hunt. But when I looked up there, it wasn't elk that he was staring at. It was a rival wolf pack. It was the Druid Peak Pack. They had been brought down in the second year of the reintroduction. And their alpha male, number 38, for some reason had a very aggressive personality. In fact, a short time before that particular day, he, number 38, had gotten in a fight with number 8's father and killed 8's father. And so as I looked up on that ridge, I saw that 38 was charging downhill in front of the other Druid walls, going directly at 8's new family. Now 8 was quite a bit smaller than 38, had very little experience in fighting and combat, so he was in a very desperate situation. I explained once again to the people that were with me, if 2 male wolves are to fight, and there's a really significant difference in their size, the fight is not going to last very long. It'll be over maybe in the first minute or so, with the victorious wolf standing over the defeated wolf, biting him at will. And the way that one wolf will kill another wolf is to bite into the throat. That's the fatal bite. So I explained to the people that probably we're going to see the 2 wolves fight, we're going to see 8 lose, and we're going to see 38 kill 8. That was all going to happen in front of us. I needed to prepare them for that. Well, 8 stared at 38, and he started running. He started running at 38. And one more disadvantage that he was going to have to deal with was to get to 38, he was going to have to run uphill because 38 was running down a steep hill. So as the 2 wolves charged at each other, they slammed into one another. They wrestled, they rolled together on the ground. They were both gray. So we couldn't really say exactly who was winning and who was losing, but just as I had predicted, it was over within a few seconds, with one gray wolf standing over the other and biting him at will. But totally unexpected, totally against what I thought would happen. Somehow the little guy won. Somehow 8 defeated the much bigger male. He was biting him at will. All he had to do was to bite into the throat, and that would have been the fatal end of 38. By that time, all the yearlings, including 21, had run up to see what their father was doing, and I'm sure how impressed they were to see their father defeating this much bigger male. But what 8 did at that moment, the next moment, was the biggest surprise of all, because when he had 38 at his mercy, and they had the option of killing him, he stepped back and spared his life. He chased him out of the territory, but he let him live. So 21 witnessed that, and as I was to follow 21 through the rest of his long, long life, I saw that 21 never lost a fight when he was defending his family, never was defeated by another male wolf, but in every fight that he was in, meaning every fight that he won, he never killed a defeated opponent. He always did what he had seen his adopted father do, and he spared his life. Well, moving on to the story of 21, he eventually left home when he was 2.5 years old, and after 38 had died, he joined the Druid Peak Pack as their alpha female. So he was a full-grown adult at that time, destined to become one of the biggest males that we've ever had, invincible in battle, and now he was the alpha male of his own territory. But there was a problem with the Druid Pack, because it was ruled by a very aggressive female, number 40. She had already driven out her own mother and one of her sisters. There was one sister remaining, that was 42, and we could see that 21 and 42 were drawn to each other. They had very similar personalities, cooperative personalities. They wanted everyone to get along. So it was like they were meant to pair off. But they had this big problem with 40. So after 40 had driven out her mother and one of her sisters, then she turned her aggression against 42, and over the next couple of years repeatedly attacked 42, beat her up, pinned her, bit her. And to make things infinitely worse, for 2 years in a row, we had pretty good reason to believe that 40 killed her sister's pups twice, which is about the worst thing that one wolf can do to another wolf. 21 during those years had a dilemma. It appeared to me that 21 had this ironclad rule in his life that he could never do anything that would harm a female. So I had seen female wolves nip at 21, bite him, refuse him different tidbits, and he would always accept that. He never retaliated against any female. I think because he had such great respect for them. So ironically, even though 21 was so big and strong and such an invincible fighter, he didn't really know how to deal with 40. He didn't know how to intervene. He didn't know how to protect 42 from 40. So it was a very difficult situation for her. Excuse me for a second. So it was a very frustrating situation for him. So several years went by, and then finally here's what happened between the two sisters. After 2 years of losing all of her pups, 42 tried to den again. She denned 5 miles away from her sister. By that time, she had made alliances with some of the younger females in her family, and they were helping her with her newborn pups. Then late one day, we saw 42 leaving her den, travel the 5 miles toward her sister's den, and disappear into the trees where 40 had her pups. And I was very concerned with what 40's intentions were. I had to assume that once again, she was planning to kill 42's pups, now for a third time. I got dark. I couldn't see anything anyway, so I went home, came back the next morning, and I found a wolf on the side of the road that was severely injured, just drenched in blood, and it was 40. We examined her. Her body was full of wolf bites, way more than just one wolf could have inflicted on her. And it appeared what happened was she had gone up to her sister's den, had threatened 42's pups. I think this time, for the first time, 42 fought against her sister. In a straight-out fight, she would not have been able to win. But the female allies that she had befriended over the years, they were there with her, and I think they jumped in on her side, and that's why there were so many bites. Well, to continue the story of what happened after that, a proof of the benevolent character that 42 had was she raised her sister's pups, despite what her sister had done to her over the years. So at the end of that calendar year, we had 20 surviving pups in the Druid pack. Only one had been lost. A far, far higher survival rate than under the rule of her sister. So that certainly was the beginning of 42's reign as the Druid Peak Alpha female, a very successful time for them. And the next year, they became the largest pack ever known in the history of wolves. For at least a short time, they numbered 37 under the leadership of 42 with the help of alpha male 21. They spent the rest of their lives together. They grew old together. They both were black wolves. So, like with some people, some married couples, they just looked more and more as they aged. They both turned gray at about the same time. We're going to jump ahead to when they were both approaching 9 years of age. The mating season came up, and once again, 21 got her pregnant. That was in February. I came back the next morning, And I found the Druid pack, including 21, but not 42. To make a long, complicated story short for the purposes of our talk, it turned out that apparently during the night a rival pack had attacked the family. I think what happened was as 21 was fighting a large contingent of rival wolves and likely winning the battle, somehow other members of the rival pack had gone after 42. They chased her, they injured her, and they died of her wounds. But she died in a remote area, a place where her family never went. I studied 21 after that particular event, and he had a gradual decline over the next few months. He seemed to be on a search pattern throughout his territory, like he was searching for her, because as far as I could tell, he didn't really know that she was dead. He didn't know that for sure, only that she was missing. So he would travel up one side of the valley, then up the other side of the valley, would visit the places that they had been together. But as I went back over my notes and studied the map of where he had been and where I knew that she had died, he never quite made it to that exact spot. So he never found her remains. And as those 4 months went by, he definitely was deteriorating in health and well-being and vigor and strength. And it got to the point where at the end of 4 months, I was watching him in the rendezvous site with his family. Some of the younger wolves saw some elk, they jumped up and they chased him. Now that would be something that he, as the alpha male, the leader of the hunt, would immediately have become involved in. But this time, he just stayed bedded. It just like he did not have the energy to participate in that hunt. And that's when I knew for sure that he was at the very end of his life. He was 9 years old in human years, probably somewhat similar to a man in the Ice Age, maybe being about 70 or 75 years old. He had lived more than twice as long as an average wolf in Yellowstone, but this looked like this is really going to be the end for him. When I came back out the next morning, he was gone. He never came back to his family. We eventually got a report. We checked it out. We got some horses. We rode up to a high meadow. It was a rendezvous site where he and 42 had spent many, many days together. It was a cool place in the summer, maybe kind of like a vacation home on the lake that, say, grandparents would have, where they would have their adult children and the grandchildren come and maybe sit on the porch and watch them play. There was a low hill in that valley, probably a place that he and 42 had been bedded on side by side for many, many years, and that's where he found him. That's where he wanted to spend his last moments of life, a place where he and 42 had been together for so many times. And as best as I could tell, the tree that was right on that hill would be one that he and 42 had scent marked many, many times over the years, probably hundreds of times. I'd like to think, as I imagine what it was like when he walked up there using the last bit of his great strength, that like any wolf would, he would stop at the tree and check who had scent marked it. He would have got his scent from the many times that he had marked it, as well as her scent. And I'd like to think that when he got 42's scent, that gave him a few moments of happiness and joy. And then it appeared that he just laid down on that hill very close to that tree. When we found him, it appeared that he had just fallen asleep and then died peacefully in his sleep, which was a very appropriate way for the greatest wolf that we ever had to end his life. So that's the story of 21 and 42 and 8. I hope you enjoyed that. My next book, which continues the story of the Yellowstone wolves, will be on the story of 302, and that was 21's cousin. So thank you for listening to my talk tonight. Thank you for taking part in Katie's night, and thank you for all the folks involved in Katie's organization too. Thank you for all that you've been doing around the world. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thanks, Rick. That was wonderful. And cheers to you, mate, for your 25 years of incredible work with the wolves up there in Yellowstone. It's been wonderful following your career and their path. Guys, this is the end of the night. It's been wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know us a little bit better. And If you want to go to South Africa with us, we're selling a bunch of Zulu Nyala safaris. They're $2,500 for 6 nights for 2 people. We sold them last year at Katie's night, and now we're doing it for a fundraiser. And we've just been selling a bunch of them. We have until the end of the year. Join us in South Africa. We'll be leading groups over the next 3 years. So hopefully everything will clear up and everybody will get better, and we will be out on the planet working to make this world a better place. Thank you for everything you guys do for us. The KACF is eternally grateful for all of our partnerships.